The night had settled gently over the small town, wrapping everything in a soft, velvety darkness that seemed to muffle the world's usual sounds. Street lamps cast pools of golden light onto quiet sidewalks, their glow softened by the occasional flutter of leaves in a gentle breeze. Somewhere in the distance, an owl called softly, and the faint hum of crickets filled the spaces in between. There was a profound stillness, a sense that the world had paused for a moment, inviting anyone awake to notice the subtle details that often go overlooked in the rush of daily life. The air was cool and slightly crisp, carrying the faint scent of damp earth and distant pine. It was one of those nights that seemed ordinary at first glance, yet somehow held the promise of something extraordinary waiting just beyond perception. A lone observer walked slowly along the edge of the town, feeling the soft crunch of gravel beneath their shoes. Their eyes traced the canopy of stars overhead, constellations shimmering like tiny lanterns scattered across the heavens. Each flicker of light was both familiar and mysterious, a reminder that the universe extended far beyond what one could ever hope to fully understand. The mind, at once relaxed and alert, began to wander through thoughts both mundane and profound, memories of the day, questions about the future, and the timeless human fascination with what lies beyond the visible world. There was a comforting rhythm to the night, a natural cadence that invited quiet reflection and introspection. It was in this calm, measured quiet that subtle anomalies began to draw attention. A distant, inexplicable shimmer against the horizon caught the eye, like a candle flickering in the distance or a reflection on a still lake. At first, it could be dismissed, perhaps a plane or a satellite glinting in the moonlight, but as the observer continued to watch, the movement felt deliberate, almost aware. The air seemed to thrum with a faint energy, imperceptible yet undeniably present, a gentle hum that vibrated beneath the skin. It was as if the night itself were holding its breath, inviting the witness to notice what others might overlook in the ordinary flow of hours. In this moment, the familiar sensation of the ordinary world shifted slightly, blending seamlessly with something that was extraordinary, yet not threatening, something that demanded curiosity rather than fear. Historically, humans have felt this duality when confronted by the unknown. For millennia, our ancestors gazed at the stars and imagined beings beyond Earth. Ancient texts describe strange lights in the sky and mysterious travelers whose presence defied explanation. Indigenous stories from continents far apart share striking similarities: celestial beings visiting humans, teaching lessons, or simply appearing in moments of quiet wonder. Historians note that these accounts often coincide with natural phenomena that were difficult to understand at the time, yet the essence of curiosity and awe remained a constant in human experience. There is a profound, almost instinctual, drive to pay attention to these anomalies, to try to understand them even when the answer is not immediately clear. The observer, now fully immersed in the night stillness, felt the weight of this history quietly pressing against the present. There was a connection, subtle and invisible, between the night sky above, the stories of countless generations, and the unfolding mystery at that very moment. Each breath drawn seemed to harmonize with the rhythm of the universe, slow and deliberate, reinforcing the sense that nothing needed to be rushed. It was a night for noticing the flicker of light, the softness of the wind, the feeling that something was near yet unseen. And yet, there was no fear, only the gentle thrill of being a witness to a moment that might otherwise pass unnoticed. As the minutes stretched, the ordinary world, the houses, the trees, the quiet streets, became a backdrop for something larger, something vast and unknowable. The observer felt suspended in a space between calm and curiosity, where imagination and reality intertwined seamlessly. Thoughts drifted to the countless accounts of unexplained phenomena, the people who had seen what could not easily be explained, and the questions that had lingered in human minds for centuries. And in this suspended, tranquil moment, the night seemed to hold an invitation, to watch, to wonder, and to experience the profound serenity that comes from simply being present under the vast, mysterious sky. The town remained cloaked in gentle quiet, as though the very air were holding its breath. Windows glowed softly, curtains rustling faintly with the evening breeze, and the occasional bark of a distant dog punctuated the otherwise serene soundscape. The observer's footsteps continued along the gravel path, slow and deliberate, each one grounding them in the here and now while their senses began to stretch toward the extraordinary. The world seemed simpler, yet more intricate at the same time. Shadows played on familiar surfaces, and every subtle movement or shimmer became amplified under the night's hush. In this delicate balance between ordinary and extraordinary, the stage was set for a night that would linger in memory long after sleep had taken over. As the observer's eyes adjusted to the darkness, they noticed the sky more fully, a deep, endless expanse sprinkled with stars, some faint and distant, others shining sharply as though calling attention to themselves. The moon hung low, a soft, silvery crescent casting delicate light over the landscape. Each subtle glimmer, each flicker of distant illumination, seemed alive with potential, teasing the mind's capacity for imagination. There was a feeling that something might appear, or perhaps had already arrived, just beyond the corner of perception. Historians and psychologists alike note that human awareness is particularly attuned to the unknown at night. The brain sharpens its focus on anomalies, even when they are faint or fleeting, because the mind instinctively seeks to understand what cannot be immediately explained. This quiet, heightened perception made every sound, shadow, and glimmer feel charged with possibility. It was in this stillness that the observer became aware of unusual movement in the night sky. At first, it appeared as nothing more than a pinprick of light, hovering in a way that defied the patterns of planes or satellites. There was a gentle, almost imperceptible drift, a motion so subtle it could have been mistaken for a trick of the eye. Yet the longer it was observed, the more deliberate it seemed, moving with an intelligence that suggested it was aware of being watched. The observer's heart remained calm, but curiosity deepened, drawn by the tension between the serene environment and the hint of something beyond ordinary experience. The night, already rich with detail, now held a layer of quiet suspense, gentle enough not to disturb relaxation but compelling enough to awaken attention. Historically, humans have experienced this duality, finding wonder and calm even while confronted by the unknown. Folklorists note that many cultures report nocturnal phenomena, lights dancing in the sky, mysterious shadows, or sounds that have no apparent source. Ancient travelers recorded strange aerial lights, often interpreted as messages from gods or signs of celestial visitors. Modern researchers draw parallels between these accounts and contemporary UFO sightings, suggesting that our fascination with the sky and its mysteries has remained constant across centuries. Psychologists observe that these experiences can trigger a mixture of awe and tranquility, particularly when the observer feels safe in their surroundings. This interplay between curiosity and calm is precisely what allows the human mind to remain open to mystery without tipping into fear, a crucial element for sleep-friendly storytelling. As the observer continued along the edge of the town, small signs of life and stillness interwove seamlessly. A soft rustle in the trees, the distant drip of water from a nearby roof, the gentle sway of grasses in the breeze, all became part of the immersive sensory tapestry. These details anchored the mind in the present, even as curiosity about the strange light above expanded outward. It was a perfect illustration of how ordinary nights can subtly shift into extraordinary experiences. By noticing the minutiae, the familiar takes on a heightened clarity, and the mysterious becomes quietly plausible. Eyewitness accounts from both historical and modern cases consistently highlight this phenomenon. The combination of calm, attention, and curiosity often allows humans to perceive anomalies that might otherwise go unnoticed. The observer's thoughts drifted gently toward questions that had lingered for centuries. Could other forms of life exist beyond Earth? Might intelligent beings visit quietly, their presence subtle enough to avoid immediate detection? The mind considered these possibilities not with alarm, but with a quiet, contemplative fascination. Anthropologists note that the human desire to find patterns and meaning in the night sky is a universal trait, one that has guided storytelling, navigation, and cultural rituals for millennia. By connecting the present moment with these historical and psychological threads, the observer experienced a sense of continuity, a realization that they were part of a long lineage of humans who had looked up at the stars and wondered. And then, almost imperceptibly, the night seemed to deepen in its stillness. The light in the sky shifted slightly, a subtle movement that was both graceful and deliberate. The observer felt the first stirrings of a profound attention, not fear, but a gentle alertness, a quiet anticipation that something remarkable might unfold. Yet the surrounding calm never wavered. The leaves continued to whisper, the distant town lights glimmered softly, and the cool night air enveloped the senses. This delicate balance between serenity and mystery would become the rhythm for the night, guiding the observer, and, through narration, the listener, into a state of relaxed curiosity, ready to witness the unfolding story of encounters beyond the ordinary. Long before modern aircraft or telescopes, humans have gazed at the night sky with wonder, curiosity, and, at times, apprehension. Across cultures and continents, celestial phenomena were meticulously recorded and interpreted as messages from gods, omens, or even visitors from beyond the earth. Ancient Sumerian tablets describe strange lights in the sky, often associated with divine beings descending to the world of humans. Similarly, in ancient China, scholars noted guest stars and unexplained aerial phenomena in meticulous detail, sometimes linking them to political or natural events. Indigenous stories across the Americas and Africa share recurring motifs: luminous figures moving through the night, ethereal crafts that hovered silently, and enigmatic beings that observed or communicated with humans in subtle ways. Historians note that while these accounts were framed within the mythologies and cosmologies of their time, they also reveal a persistent human tendency to notice anomalies in the sky and ascribe meaning to them. The modern era of UFO phenomena is often traced to the mid-20th century, when technological advancements allowed humans to observe the sky in new ways. One of the earliest well-documented sightings occurred in 1947, when Kenneth Arnold, a private pilot, reported seeing 9 fast-moving, crescent-shaped objects near Mount Rainier. Arnold described their movement as like saucers skipping on water, a phrase that would later give rise to the term flying saucer. This sighting captured public imagination and marked the beginning of a new chapter in human fascination with unexplained aerial phenomena. What made this case particularly compelling was not only the clarity of Arnold's account but also its timing. Shortly after World War II, during a period of rapid technological change and geopolitical tension, psychologists suggest that the post-war environment heightened public interest in the unknown, combining curiosity with a latent sense of vulnerability and hope. Just a few weeks later, news of the Roswell incident added layers of mystery and controversy. Official reports initially claimed that a flying disc had been recovered from a ranch in New Mexico, only to be quickly retracted and replaced with the explanation of a weather balloon. Historians and researchers have since explored how these contradictory reports fueled a growing tension between official narratives and eyewitness testimony. Declassified military documents reveal internal discussions about unusual debris and unexplained radar contacts, though no definitive conclusions were reached publicly. Many witnesses, including military personnel and local civilians, described experiences that did not align neatly with conventional explanations. This duality, the coexistence of official denial and personal accounts, has become a defining feature of modern UFO lore, demonstrating the complexity of human perception and institutional response. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, sightings and reports proliferated, spanning rural landscapes, urban centers, and even international locations. Project Blue Book, conducted by the United States Air Force, systematically collected and analyzed thousands of reports. While most cases were attributed to natural phenomena, misidentified aircraft, or hoaxes, a small percentage remained unexplained. Researchers studying these unknown cases have highlighted patterns, such as consistent descriptions of lights or craft with unusual movements, and encounters reported by multiple witnesses independently. Psychologists examining these records note that the combination of credible witnesses, corroborative evidence, and cultural context often amplifies the perceived reality of the experience, even when definitive proof remains elusive. Cultural factors also played a significant role in shaping public perception of these events. During the Cold War, heightened anxiety about surveillance, espionage, and technological advancement created fertile ground for speculation. Films and literature of the time often depicted alien visitors as either benevolent explorers or ominous invaders, reflecting societal hopes and fears. Historians argue that these narratives did more than entertain. They framed collective imagination, influencing how individuals interpreted ambiguous events in the sky. A bright light, a sudden movement, or a mechanical hum could easily be cast within the lens of extraterrestrial possibility. Even today, popular media continues to echo these early stories, blending real accounts with fictionalized interpretations that shape public expectations. Yet, alongside official reports and media portrayals, personal experiences have always carried weight. Eyewitnesses often describe a profound mixture of awe, fear, and calm wonder, emotions that suggest these encounters resonate deeply within human consciousness. Some accounts emphasize subtle signs, lights moving with precision, silent hovering, or objects vanishing without trace. Others describe fleeting glimpses of beings or structures that challenge conventional understanding. Anthropologists note that while interpretation varies by culture, the underlying experience, a sense of contact with something larger than oneself, remains consistent. This continuity across time and geography provides a compelling context for understanding modern UFO phenomena. Humans have always observed the skies, always wondered, and always encountered experiences that defy simple explanation. The historical record also includes intriguing cases that intersect with scientific observation. In the 1960s, for example, astronomers occasionally reported objects appearing on radar that did not correspond to any known aircraft. While some could be explained through atmospheric anomalies or technological error, a few cases remained mysterious, documented with precision and corroborated by multiple observers. Such incidents reinforce the notion that the unknown is not purely myth or imagination. It can intersect with observation, technology, and human perception in ways that challenge easy categorization. Researchers today often revisit these historical cases, seeking patterns that may illuminate modern sightings and the broader question of extraterrestrial life. In weaving together these strands, ancient myths, documented sightings, government reports, and cultural influence, a rich tapestry emerges. The human fascination with the sky is both timeless and evolving, grounded in observation but fueled by imagination. Each account, whether mythological, historical, or contemporary, offers insight into how humans perceive the extraordinary, respond to ambiguity, and seek meaning in the unknown. By understanding this history, we gain perspective on why a calm night under the stars, like the one our observer experiences, can feel charged with quiet possibility. The stage is now fully set for direct encounters, eyewitness experiences that will bring the abstract wonder of history into a personal, tangible moment of mystery. As the night deepened, the quiet town seemed to hold its breath, its streets bathed in soft moonlight and the faint glow of distant stars. In this tranquility, the observer became attuned not just to the sights and sounds of the ordinary world, but also to subtle anomalies that hinted at something beyond. It is often in these quiet, attentive moments that humans report experiences that defy conventional explanation. Throughout history, eyewitness accounts of strange lights or unidentified objects in the sky reveal a delicate balance of awe, confusion, and quiet wonder. Today, we explore several such accounts, both famous and obscure, allowing ourselves to step gently into the world of those who have glimpsed the extraordinary under the calm canopy of night. One of the most well-documented historical encounters occurred in the small town of Socorro, New Mexico, in 1964. A local police officer reported observing a silvery craft hovering silently near the desert horizon. According to his account, the object was perfectly smooth, with a subtle glow, and emitted a faint humming sound that seemed to vibrate in the air. He described a profound sense of stillness, a moment where time itself felt suspended, and yet he experienced no fear, only a mixture of curiosity and awe. Psychologists analyzing cases like Socorro's suggest that these encounters often involve heightened sensory perception. In the quiet of night, the mind becomes exceptionally receptive to small movements, subtle sounds, and minute changes in light. This awareness amplifies the sense of anomaly, making even a faint or brief encounter deeply memorable. A lesser-known but equally compelling story comes from a rural area in Brazil, where a farmer reported witnessing strange lights hovering over a field one night in the late 1970s. He described multiple points of illumination moving in deliberate patterns, shifting from red to blue to a soft golden hue. The experience was accompanied by an almost imperceptible wind that seemed to carry a hum of energy, barely audible but undeniably present. The farmer, accustomed to long nights under the stars, recognized that this was unlike anything he had ever seen. He later recounted a sense of calm fascination, noting that the objects moved with an intelligence that suggested awareness of their observer. Anthropologists studying these cases note that descriptions of deliberate, intelligent movement appear in reports across cultures, suggesting a common cognitive thread in how humans interpret anomalous aerial phenomena. In many cases, multiple witnesses observed the same event independently, lending additional credibility to the accounts. For instance, in the Rendlesham Forest incident of 1980, several military personnel reported seeing strange lights and a metallic craft in the woods of Suffolk, England. Witnesses described the object as triangular in shape, hovering silently among the trees, with beams of light scanning the surrounding area. Some reported physical sensations, tingling skin, a sudden drop in temperature, that accompanied the visual phenomena. Researchers emphasize that while stress, expectation, or fatigue can influence perception, the consistency of multiple independent accounts strengthens the plausibility of a genuine anomaly. These shared experiences illustrate a fascinating psychological interplay. The mind, attuned to subtle environmental cues in the calm of night, can simultaneously detect and interpret phenomena that defy everyday explanation. Not all eyewitness accounts involve large or dramatic crafts. Some describe smaller, subtle phenomena that leave lasting impressions. A woman in rural Canada recounted a night where she saw 3 small lights hovering above her backyard pond. They moved silently, weaving in intricate patterns, and seemed to pulse gently as if breathing. She described a feeling of profound peace, as though the lights themselves were aware of her presence and offered quiet companionship rather than threat. Stories like hers highlight an important aspect of many encounters, a sense of non-threatening interaction. Psychologists suggest that the calm, reflective mindset of observers at night can transform fear into fascination, allowing people to experience encounters as moments of wonder rather than terror. Historical and contemporary accounts often share surprising commonalities. Witnesses frequently report hovering lights, smooth metallic surfaces, and movements that defy conventional aerodynamics. Many describe an ineffable presence, a feeling that they are being watched, or that something in the sky acknowledges their observation. Yet, despite these extraordinary elements, the tone of most reports is not of panic but of curiosity. The mind, when relaxed and open, is capable of perceiving phenomena that might otherwise go unnoticed. Cultural anthropologists note that this interplay between attentiveness and calmness is key. The night itself becomes a canvas for perception, and observers become attuned to the subtlest shifts in light, sound, and energy. Eyewitness testimony also illustrates the complexity of memory and perception. While some details may be imprecise or subject to later reinterpretation, the core experience, the sense of witnessing something extraordinary, remains vivid. Researchers often cross-reference reports with environmental data, radar readings, and other documentation to find correlations, revealing that even seemingly simple encounters can carry significant information. For example, pilots frequently report seeing lights that do not appear on radar, or objects that move in ways impossible for conventional aircraft. These cases reinforce the delicate tension between observable reality, human perception, and the unknown. The calmness of night allows the observer to notice subtle discrepancies that might be drowned out in the noise of day, making nocturnal experiences particularly potent in UFO research. Across cultures, observers consistently describe a profound psychological impact, moments of awe, humility, and introspection. A shepherd in rural Turkey recounted seeing a circular craft glide silently over his flock, emitting a soft light that seemed to harmonize with the rhythm of nature around him. He spoke of feeling part of something much larger than himself, a connection that transcended fear or confusion. Psychologists interpret such reactions as indicative of a deeply rooted human need to find meaning in the unknown. These experiences are not just reports of visual phenomena, they are reflections of the human desire to understand, connect, and contextualize events that lie beyond ordinary explanation. Finally, it is worth noting that not all accounts require dramatic visuals or physical sensations. Sometimes, the encounter is almost entirely psychological, a sense of being observed, a sudden awareness of unseen presence, or fleeting glimpses of shapes or shadows. Even in these subtle moments, witnesses describe lasting impressions, changes in perspective, or renewed curiosity about the universe. These quieter stories remind us that the extraordinary does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers, gently tugging at consciousness in ways that encourage reflection and wonder. In weaving these accounts together, a pattern emerges: the calm of night, the attentive mind, and the presence of something unusual create a unique space where extraordinary phenomena can be perceived. Witnesses, whether in urban centers, remote forests, or pastoral fields, share experiences that transcend geography and culture. Each story adds depth to our understanding of human perception, while also highlighting the persistent mystery of the unknown. As the observer in our story continues under the night sky, these voices from the past and present offer both context and companionship, a reminder that humans have always looked up and always wondered about what might be silently moving among the stars. As night deepened over the quiet town, the observer's attention shifted from the stars above to the broader context of human understanding, how governments, institutions, and media have historically responded to reports of the unexplained. From the earliest days of the modern UFO era, official responses have shaped public perception in profound ways, balancing skepticism, curiosity, and the occasional admission of mystery. While eyewitness accounts provide intimate and vivid experiences, government documents and media reports add structure, sometimes contradiction, and often a layer of tension to the narrative of human encounters with the unknown. Understanding these responses is essential for appreciating the intricate dance between observation, interpretation, and societal belief. In the United States, Project Blue Book, active from 1952 to 1969, represents one of the most systematic attempts to investigate UFO phenomena. Thousands of reports were collected from civilians, pilots, and military personnel alike. The majority of cases were attributed to misidentified aircraft, weather phenomena, or optical illusions. Yet a small but significant percentage of sightings, classified as unidentified, remained unexplained, leaving scientists and officials puzzled. Researchers studying these records highlight that even when an event could not be concretely explained, it was often described in extraordinary detail by credible witnesses. For example, radar-confirmed sightings of unusual aerial objects often coincided with multiple eyewitness reports, suggesting that these events were not purely imagined or fabricated. Psychologists suggest that this combination of corroboration and ambiguity contributes to both public fascination and cautious skepticism. One of the most famous and controversial incidents, the Roswell event of 1947, exemplifies the tension between official statements and eyewitness accounts. Initial press releases claimed the recovery of a flying disc, only to be quickly retracted and replaced with an explanation involving a weather balloon. Declassified military memos from the time reveal internal uncertainty. Some officers expressed concern over unexplained debris and odd radar readings, while others emphasized the need for public reassurance. This dichotomy between internal acknowledgement and external denial became a recurring theme in UFO investigations, shaping the public's perception of both mystery and secrecy. Historians note that such discrepancies often fuel speculation, not because the events themselves are inherently sensational, but because they challenge the expectation of complete transparency from authoritative institutions. The media, too, has played a significant role in framing UFO phenomena. Newspaper articles, radio broadcasts, and later television segments often walked a fine line between reporting and entertainment. Early coverage, such as headlines proclaiming "flying saucers spotted over Washington," stirred both excitement and anxiety among the public. Film and literature of the era mirrored these reports, blending factual accounts with imaginative interpretations. Cultural historians argue that media coverage did more than simply relay events. It actively shaped collective perception, influencing how ordinary citizens interpreted lights, sounds, and other anomalies in the sky. Even subtle cues from journalists, such as word choice or headline framing, could amplify uncertainty or curiosity, demonstrating the power of narrative in shaping public consciousness. Internationally, government responses have varied, but a common pattern emerges: a mixture of investigation, denial, and occasional acknowledgement of unexplained events. In the United Kingdom, the Ministry of Defense maintained a UFO desk for decades, reviewing thousands of reports while generally concluding that most sightings could be explained by mundane causes. Yet a small fraction of cases, often involving military personnel or radar evidence, remained unresolved. Similarly, governments in Canada, France, and Brazil have occasionally released declassified reports, revealing encounters that could not be readily explained but were meticulously documented. Across cultures, these official records offer a window into both procedural rigor and institutional caution, highlighting the delicate balance between transparency, credibility, and national security. Media coverage and government disclosure have also influenced how eyewitness accounts are received. Observers often hesitate to report sightings for fear of ridicule, knowing that their stories might be dismissed as imagination or misperception. At the same time, some reports gain widespread attention precisely because of official acknowledgement or media interest, creating a feedback loop where public curiosity fuels further investigation. Sociologists note that this dynamic contributes to the enduring fascination with UFOs. The interplay between credible witnesses, official responses, and media framing generates a cultural ecosystem in which mystery thrives. For the calm observer under a night sky, understanding this context provides perspective, acknowledging that reports are part of a larger tapestry of human observation, scrutiny, and interpretation. Yet official and media responses are not always dismissive or contradictory. Sometimes, they reveal genuine intrigue and the limits of current knowledge. In recent years, the release of U.S. Pentagon reports and the formation of the UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, Task Force have publicly acknowledged encounters that defy conventional explanation. These developments underscore a critical point. Even highly trained and technologically equipped institutions can encounter phenomena that challenge understanding. Eyewitness accounts gain added weight when they intersect with radar data, pilot testimony, or declassified investigations, illustrating a remarkable convergence between personal experience and institutional documentation. This convergence deepens the sense of mystery, providing both credibility and subtle reassurance. We are not alone in observing the unexplained, and even authorities sometimes confront questions without immediate answers. The interplay between skepticism and belief, official reporting and personal testimony, shapes not only public perception but also the psychology of witnessing. For many, official acknowledgement offers validation, lending confidence that their experiences were real and significant. Conversely, conflicting reports can heighten intrigue, sparking questions about secrecy, human understanding, and the nature of observation itself. Anthropologists note that these dynamics mirror larger human tendencies. Curiosity thrives alongside ambiguity, and wonder often emerges most vividly where certainty is absent. For an observer under a quiet night sky, this balance between reassurance and mystery encourages gentle contemplation rather than alarm, a perfect alignment for a sleep story that aims to relax while stimulating curiosity. Finally, considering the cumulative effect of reports, investigations, and media coverage, a pattern emerges. Humans have always sought to reconcile the unknown with the known. Official documents provide structure, eyewitness accounts provide vivid immediacy, and media narratives provide context for collective imagination. Together, they form a framework that allows ordinary nights, like the one our observer experiences, to feel charged with subtle possibility. The lights that hover, the movements that defy explanation, and the quiet hum of energy in the night sky gain additional resonance when framed within the broader human experience. By calmly exploring these layers, listeners are guided toward understanding that the mysterious is not merely a threat or a curiosity, it is a gentle invitation to wonder, observe, and reflect under the stars. Even as governments and media attempt to categorize and explain sightings, a persistent thread runs through the narrative of UFO phenomena. There are experiences that resist conventional understanding. These are the cases that ignite imagination, provoke debate among researchers, and invite consideration of possibilities beyond the strictly empirical. While some observers remain skeptical, others have proposed alternative theories that extend into realms of science, philosophy, and even the paranormal. These ideas do not seek to frighten. Rather, they invite gentle contemplation, offering a broader perspective on the mysteries that sometimes visit quiet nights under the stars. One of the most widely discussed alternative perspectives is that of interdimensional visitors. Some researchers propose that not all phenomena we observe originate from our immediate physical universe. Instead, these encounters may involve entities or crafts capable of shifting between dimensions or planes of reality that we cannot ordinarily perceive. In this framework, the unusual movements, sudden appearances, and inexplicable disappearances of lights or objects in the sky could be explained not as conventional flight, but as interactions with realms just beyond our sensory reach. Psychologists studying these accounts emphasize that the mind, when calm and attentive, may detect subtle cues of such activity, patterns of light or movement that would otherwise be ignored during the busyness of the day. Another alternative theory considers the possibility of advanced human technology, either secret or forgotten. Some sightings of highly maneuverable crafts with unconventional propulsion could reflect experimental vehicles beyond public knowledge. Historical records even suggest that earlier civilizations may have had glimpses of technology we do not yet understand fully. While these ideas are speculative, they are grounded in the logic of human innovation. If it is possible to imagine advanced technology, it is conceivable that some unknown mechanisms might exist. Such theories do not diminish the wonder of the phenomena. Instead, they invite careful observation and reflection, reinforcing the calm, contemplative state of mind that allows people to notice subtle mysteries without fear. Paranormal and psychological interpretations also offer intriguing perspectives. Certain experiences may involve interaction with consciousness itself, phenomena that appear as lights, shapes, or presences but are fundamentally linked to perception and awareness. Researchers in parapsychology suggest that moments of heightened attention, particularly at night, can create experiences that feel both external and real. Witnesses often describe a profound sense of connection, as though the universe is subtly responding to their presence. These accounts are remarkable not for their definitive proof but for what they reveal about human perception, that our senses, minds, and imaginations are deeply attuned to the rhythms of the natural world and to anomalies that quietly disturb ordinary expectation. Some theorists propose that extraterrestrial encounters may involve a combination of factors: physical, psychological, and even sociocultural. For instance, a craft might be a tangible object with advanced propulsion, yet it could simultaneously evoke psychological effects, altering perception or consciousness in subtle ways. Cultural context also influences how witnesses interpret what they see. Lights in the sky might be understood as spacecraft, spirits, or omens depending on personal background, belief systems, and environmental cues. Anthropologists emphasize that these layers of interpretation are neither irrational nor merely fanciful. They reflect the complex ways humans experience, process, and integrate anomalous phenomena. By acknowledging these multiple dimensions, we gain a richer, more holistic understanding of encounters that defy conventional explanation. Historical examples illustrate the appeal of alternative theories. During the 1950s and 1960s, some observers reported objects performing maneuvers that seemed physically impossible, such as sudden stops, right-angle turns at high speeds, and silent hovering in the sky. Traditional aircraft could not account for such movements, and atmospheric phenomena offered only partial explanations. Researchers who explored these incidents considered whether phenomena could be interdimensional, experimental, or guided by intelligence beyond human comprehension. Importantly, witnesses often described not fear but quiet fascination, suggesting that the unknown can be perceived as harmonious or even beautiful when the mind is calm. These encounters, subtle and often fleeting, leave lasting impressions precisely because they are experienced in a state of contemplative attention rather than alarm. Some contemporary ufologists have introduced the idea that certain encounters may reflect interactions with forms of intelligence that are fundamentally non-human but benevolent or indifferent rather than hostile. This perspective emphasizes observation, curiosity, and subtle communication over dramatic displays or threats. Witnesses frequently describe feelings of being acknowledged without words, a recognition that is deeply calming even amid uncertainty. Psychologists studying these experiences note that humans are capable of detecting complex cues, patterns of light, movement, or sound that may convey intentionality. In this way, the night becomes a canvas for quiet, almost imperceptible communication, where the ordinary and extraordinary coexist seamlessly. Finally, alternative theories remind us that the universe is vast, and human understanding is still limited. Even rigorous scientific inquiry leaves many questions unanswered. Are we alone in the cosmos? Could life exist in forms we have yet to imagine? Might some encounters bridge dimensions, consciousness, or technological boundaries beyond current comprehension? The calm, attentive observer under the night sky, watching for subtle signs and patterns, experiences a sense of connection to these questions. The purpose of these alternative perspectives is not to assert definitive answers, but to expand the mind gently, fostering curiosity, reflection, and quiet awe. By exploring these possibilities, interdimensionality, advanced technology, paranormal phenomena, and subtle intelligence, listeners are encouraged to consider a broader landscape of mystery. The beauty of these theories lies not in certainty but in the invitation to notice, ponder, and reflect under a calm, starry sky. The night becomes a space where ordinary perception meets extraordinary possibility, where quiet attention allows subtle phenomena to emerge, and where curiosity can coexist with serenity. For the observer and for the listener, these reflections cultivate a gentle awareness that something extraordinary may exist just beyond ordinary perception, yet it does so without threatening, overwhelming, or disturbing the tranquility of the night. Following the immediate aftermath of the Pascagoula encounter, attention naturally shifted to the formal investigation and documentation of the event. Local authorities, having received first-hand accounts from Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, carefully recorded the details, noting the men's composure, the clarity of their observations, and the unusual nature of the reported phenomena. While law enforcement officers remained cautious in their conclusions, their reports became the first layer of official documentation, laying the groundwork for further scrutiny. In small towns like Pascagoula, police reports carried weight, reflecting both the credibility of witnesses and the seriousness with which extraordinary claims could be treated in a community context. Soon after, the story began to attract wider attention, drawing the interest of state and federal agencies. The FBI, which maintained a broader mandate for unusual incidents during that period, opened a preliminary investigation. Their involvement was measured and methodical, focusing on verifying details and assessing whether any threat existed to the men or the public. Declassified documents reveal that agents interviewed both Hickson and Parker multiple times, recording extensive notes on their observations and the sequence of events. The witnesses' calm and consistent narratives impressed investigators, who acknowledged that while the experience was extraordinary, there was no evidence of fabrication or intentional deception. This formal attention lent an additional layer of credibility to the case, setting it apart from countless anecdotal reports of UFO sightings that often remained unexamined. Media engagement played an equally significant role in shaping the public perception of the Pascagoula event. Local newspapers reported the incident in a restrained, factual tone, emphasizing the unusual details while noting that investigations were underway. National outlets soon picked up the story, drawn to the combination of ordinary witnesses, extraordinary claims, and the serene Mississippi setting. Television crews conducted interviews, capturing the men's reflections on camera and documenting the calm, precise way they recounted their experience. Unlike sensationalized stories that often dominated headlines, the Pascagoula narrative was framed with balance, highlighting the credibility of the witnesses while leaving space for viewers to wonder without alarm. This careful media presentation allowed audiences to engage with the mystery thoughtfully, enhancing both curiosity and trust in the account. The broader historical context of the 1970s helps explain why the story resonated so strongly with the public. By 1973, the United States had experienced a surge of UFO interest, partly fueled by decades of military and civilian sightings, including the well-known investigations of Project Blue Book. Although Project Blue Book had officially concluded its active study of UFOs, reports continued to surface, and the public remained intrigued by the possibility of extraterrestrial visitation. Hickson and Parker's account arrived at a moment when cultural fascination with the unknown was high, providing a story that was detailed, credible, and imbued with a calm, contemplative tone that distinguished it from more sensational or frightening reports. It fit neatly into the larger societal narrative of exploration, curiosity, and the human desire to encounter what lies beyond the ordinary. The official documentation of the event further reflects the era's methodical approach to unusual claims. FBI memos indicate that investigators cross-checked witness statements with environmental conditions, including moon phases, river flow, and local traffic, to rule out conventional explanations. Both Hickson and Parker underwent interviews with psychologists and local officials, and their accounts were analyzed for consistency. Remarkably, the narratives aligned in both detail and timing, reinforcing the impression that the witnesses were recounting a shared, extraordinary experience rather than separate misunderstandings. These assessments, conducted within a professional and systematic framework, strengthened the legitimacy of the case and contributed to its enduring fascination within the UFO research community. Media coverage also examined the tension between skepticism and belief. Newspapers and television reports frequently included expert opinions ranging from scientists to local scholars, discussing the plausibility of extraterrestrial involvement while acknowledging alternative explanations. Some skeptics proposed misinterpretations of lights, atmospheric phenomena, or mechanical craft, while ufologists and researchers emphasized the alignment of witness testimony with broader patterns observed in other abduction cases. This balanced reporting allowed the public to engage with the story thoughtfully, rather than being swept into panic or blind credulity. For listeners of tonight's story, it is important to note that the cultural lens of the 1970s, an era of scientific optimism, space exploration, and curiosity about the unknown, shaped both the investigation and the reception of the Pascagoula incident. Projects like SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, emerged not only from scientific curiosity but also from a cultural context steeped in stories of contact, observation, and the possibility of life beyond Earth. By connecting empirical research with imagination, humanity continues to explore the boundaries of knowledge while maintaining a sense of wonder. For an observer beneath the stars, this knowledge fosters both calm and curiosity, framing the unknown as a space of possibility rather than fear. In quieter, more contemplative terms, cultural influence teaches a subtle lesson. Mystery does not require resolution to hold value. The stories, myths, artworks, and films inspired by UFO phenomena invite reflection, encouraging observers to engage with questions rather than demands for answers. Witnessing a faint, hovering light in the night sky can be enriched by this cultural lens, transforming the moment into a meditation on curiosity, imagination, and human connection with the cosmos. In this sense, culture becomes an extension of perception itself, a framework through which ordinary nights may take on extraordinary resonance. Ultimately, the enduring fascination with extraterrestrial phenomena reflects a fundamental human impulse to explore, to imagine, and to seek connection with something beyond ourselves. Whether in ancient codices, cinematic narratives, or whispered eyewitness accounts, the presence of mystery has always invited contemplation, inspiring awe without disturbing calm. For our observer, walking beneath the quiet stars, this cultural tapestry frames the night's unfolding events with subtle reassurance. They are not alone in noticing, wondering, or imagining. Countless others throughout history have looked up at the sky and felt the same mixture of curiosity, serenity, and quiet amazement. And it is within this shared human fascination that the night's subtle mysteries take on their deepest resonance, blending calm observation with the thrill of the unknown. As the Pascagoula River incident drew wider attention, a variety of alternative interpretations and paranormal perspectives began to emerge, inviting listeners to consider the event from multiple angles without diminishing the calm, reflective tone of the story. Some of the earliest explanations were rooted in skepticism, grounded in natural phenomena or psychological processes. Skeptics suggested that the glowing lights and unusual forms observed by Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker might have been reflections of distant boats, atmospheric distortions, or even misidentified wildlife moving through the riverbank reeds. Others proposed that the men, influenced by the cultural fascination with UFOs in the 1970s, may have unconsciously interpreted ordinary occurrences as extraordinary. While these explanations offered a rational perspective, they could not entirely account for the vivid consistency, timing, and tactile sensations described by the witnesses, leaving a subtle sense of wonder intact. Paranormal researchers, on the other hand, embraced the story as a compelling example of an extraterrestrial encounter. Unlike many reports of violent or frightening abductions, the Pascagoula incident was remarkable for its gentleness, which suggested a deliberate and non-threatening interaction. Some theorists proposed that the beings were conducting careful observation, guided by motives unknown to humans, yet displaying a restraint and subtle awareness that set the encounter apart from more aggressive accounts. Hypnotherapy sessions conducted in later years with some abduction witnesses across the United States revealed recurring patterns: a sense of being lifted or moved, auditory phenomena like humming, and a strong awareness of the environment despite extraordinary circumstances. Hickson and Parker's experience, which was consciously observed in real time rather than recalled under regression, offered a rare and credible lens through which researchers could study these phenomena. Psychological interpretations also provided insight into the experience, emphasizing the complex interplay between perception, cognition, and memory during highly unusual events. Experts in cognitive psychology suggest that moments of heightened attention, particularly in low-light or isolated environments, can intensify sensory perception, making ordinary stimuli appear extraordinary. For example, subtle reflections on water, shadows among the trees, or the rustle of reeds could be amplified in awareness and interpreted as deliberate movement. However, even when considering these psychological factors, the Pascagoula case remained distinctive. Both Hickson and Parker described sensations of weightlessness, tactile awareness, and auditory humming that were difficult to attribute solely to environmental cues, suggesting that their experience existed at a liminal intersection of perception and the unknown. Another layer of alternative explanation considered social and cultural influences. In the 1970s, UFO culture had permeated American consciousness, from television shows depicting alien contact to news reports of unexplained lights and government investigations. These cultural artifacts did not implant false memories, but they shaped the narrative frameworks through which witnesses might interpret unfamiliar stimuli. Hickson and Parker were ordinary men, deeply grounded in daily routines and community life. Yet they were also products of their time, aware of stories of extraterrestrial life and curious about the unknown. Researchers often note that abduction narratives frequently reflect a blend of universal human perception and specific cultural motifs, where the unfamiliar is interpreted through the lens of what is collectively imaginable. The Pascagoula encounter, while fitting certain patterns, remained unique in its calm and detailed observational quality. Beyond psychological and cultural theories, some researchers explored the possibility that the event could represent a genuine anomalous phenomenon that defied conventional explanation. The consistency of witness accounts, the physiological effects reported, and the careful documentation by law enforcement and federal agencies lent weight to this perspective. In some studies of abduction cases, events like the Pascagoula encounter are categorized as conscious abductions, moments where individuals retain awareness and can observe extraordinary phenomena without the usual amnesia reported in other encounters. Hickson and Parker's narrative aligns with this pattern, offering a rare opportunity to examine such an experience through first-hand testimony rather than retrospective memory alone. The paranormal perspective also invites reflection on the gentle and deliberate nature of the encounter. Unlike reports of invasive or frightening abductions, the Pascagoula case featured beings that appeared to observe without aggression, moving with a rhythm that was almost purposeful and measured. Researchers have noted that such encounters often evoke a sense of awe and wonder rather than panic, a state that may allow witnesses to recall fine details with clarity. Scientists emphasize natural explanations first, ranging from meteorological effects to human-made aircraft, while acknowledging the small percentage of events that remain unresolved. This measured approach ensures credibility and reduces fear, framing the unknown as an invitation to wonder rather than a threat. Radar anomalies, multiple independent witness reports, and high-resolution imagery all provide clues, yet each case often ends with the subtle acknowledgement of uncertainty. In this uncertainty, there is beauty, a reminder that the universe is vast, layered, and gently inscrutable. For the calm observer, this perspective nurtures a quiet engagement with mystery, fostering awe without anxiety. International collaboration further enriches modern understanding. Researchers in Europe, South America, and Asia increasingly share observations, historical records, and technological data, revealing cross-cultural patterns in sightings. Military radar logs, civilian observations, and scientific data converge, showing that while specific explanations may remain elusive, certain recurring characteristics, light patterns, rapid movement, hovering, or sudden disappearance, appear globally. These patterns hint at phenomena that are consistent, deliberate, and worthy of study. For a nighttime observer, awareness of this global perspective subtly expands the imagination. One is not merely witnessing local anomalies, but glimpsing phenomena experienced quietly around the world, simultaneously mundane and extraordinary. Finally, modern investigations highlight the importance of patience and attentiveness. Unlike cinematic depictions of dramatic encounters, real observations often involve quiet, prolonged attention, a blinking light, a slow drift across the horizon, subtle changes in hue or movement. Scientists, trained observers, and casual enthusiasts alike describe the thrill of waiting, watching, and noting details without immediate resolution. This rhythm, calm observation punctuated by subtle surprises, mirrors the pace of a serene night walk, aligning perfectly with the sensory and psychological experience of a sleep story. It is in this quiet engagement under the velvety night sky that the ordinary and extraordinary coexist, creating a space for reflection, curiosity, and gentle wonder. As the night deepens, the observer pauses beneath the stars, allowing the mind to settle into a gentle rhythm. The faint lights, stories, and reflections of the evening merge into a serene awareness of wonder without urgency. Each movement, the shimmer of a star, the rustle of leaves, or the slow drift of a distant light, becomes part of a quiet tapestry that invites mindful attention. This calm observation allows curiosity and serenity to coexist, letting the mind appreciate the unknown without fear. Historical and contemporary encounters weave softly through reflection, the Socorro craft hovering over the desert, the Brazilian farmer's luminous lights, or Rendlesham Forest's mysterious triangular object. These stories are companions in the night, reminding the observer that countless humans across time have quietly witnessed extraordinary phenomena. Cultural myths, literature, and modern media further enrich this tapestry, demonstrating that fascination with the unknown is both universal and timeless. Reflection extends to the psychological and imaginative realms. Thoughts of interdimensional visitors, subtle intelligence, or unexplained lights drift gently, fostering quiet curiosity rather than anxiety. Awareness of these mysteries, coupled with the gentle rhythm of breath and environmental sounds, supports calm engagement with the extraordinary. The night becomes a sanctuary for observation, imagination, and contemplation, a space where the extraordinary and ordinary coexist seamlessly. Here, under the velvet sky, the observer experiences a state of gentle wonder, fully attentive, deeply relaxed, and quietly connected to the vast continuum of human curiosity. The Pascagoula River incident left an indelible mark not only on the lives of Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, but also on the cultural consciousness of the region, the nation, and, ultimately, the world. Over the decades, the story has been retold in books, documentaries, and countless discussions among UFO enthusiasts, historians, and researchers, becoming a quiet cornerstone in the annals of unexplained phenomena. What makes the Pascagoula encounter so compelling, and why it continues to resonate with audiences, is the delicate balance it strikes between mystery and realism. Unlike sensationalized accounts that rely on fear or exaggeration, the story unfolds gently, drawing listeners into a space where curiosity, reflection, and calm coexist with awe at the extraordinary. Locally, Pascagoula embraced the incident with a mix of intrigue and respect. Residents remembered Hickson and Parker as ordinary men whose lives had intersected with something remarkable, yet their accounts were never dismissed outright. Over time, the story became part of the town's identity, a narrative that connected the community to larger cultural discussions about the unknown. Local historians and journalists have chronicled the event with care, often emphasizing the consistency of the witnesses' narratives and the calm, nonviolent nature of the encounter. The river itself became symbolic, a serene and mysterious backdrop for an event that blurred the lines between ordinary life and the extraordinary. Residents and visitors alike began to regard the riverbank not only as a place of natural beauty, but also as a space where the unseen and the unknowable could gently touch human experience. Nationally, the Pascagoula abduction helped to shape perceptions of UFO encounters in a distinctive way. Many UFO reports of the era involved fast-moving lights, loud noises, or aggressive entities, the Pascagoula case offered a stark contrast. Here were two credible witnesses, calm and ordinary, describing a gentle but profoundly unexplainable event. This narrative challenged prevailing stereotypes about alien encounters, suggesting that not all experiences need be terrifying or chaotic. Researchers and writers frequently point to Pascagoula as an example of an encounter that combines sensory richness, emotional clarity, and precise observation, a case study in how the extraordinary can be observed with calm attentiveness rather than fear-driven reaction. This balance has inspired countless subsequent explorations of UFO phenomena, emphasizing careful observation and measured reporting over sensationalism. Books, documentaries, and online platforms have carried the Pascagoula story to audiences far beyond Mississippi. Scholars of folklore and paranormal phenomena note that it functions as a modern myth, illustrating human curiosity about the unknown while retaining verifiable details and credible witnesses. Unlike many urban legends, the narrative is anchored in real geography, documented interviews, and official reports, giving it a grounded quality that encourages thoughtful reflection. For audiences listening in the quiet of night, the story resonates on multiple levels, as a tale of mystery, as an exploration of human perception, and as an illustration of how the ordinary world can suddenly intersect with the extraordinary. It is precisely this combination of verifiable realism and gentle mystery that allows the Pascagoula encounter to endure as a cultural touchstone. The story's influence extends beyond literature and media into popular culture. Television shows, radio programs, and podcasts have revisited the case repeatedly, often framing it as a calm, reflective narrative rather than a sensational spectacle. This approach encourages listeners to immerse themselves in the scene, the quiet riverbank, the subtle rustling of reeds, the gentle hum of the unexplained entities, while considering the broader implications. In this way, Pascagoula has become part of the cultural imagination, a symbol of the gentle intrusion of the unknown into ordinary life, and an invitation to explore mystery without fear. The narrative's emphasis on calm observation and sensory detail has even influenced the way sleep stories and immersive storytelling programs present UFO encounters, blending relaxation with intrigue in ways that soothe as much as they captivate. Beyond media, the Pascagoula case has contributed to academic and investigative discussions within the UFO research community. Researchers often highlight it as a benchmark for cases involving conscious witnesses, detailed observation, and nonviolent encounters. Unlike instances where regression hypnosis is the primary tool for memory retrieval, Hickson and Parker experienced the event in real time, retaining vivid awareness throughout. This allows for deeper analysis, offering insights into how human perception operates under extraordinary circumstances. Studies of the case frequently emphasize the combination of ordinary life, serene environment, and extraordinary phenomena, factors that make the story both credible and compelling. In this sense, Pascagoula is not merely a local legend but a point of reference for understanding the psychology, sociology, and phenomenology of UFO encounters more broadly. The cultural resonance of the Pascagoula incident also lies in its enduring emotional tone. Unlike accounts marked by fear or chaos, this story emphasizes gentle awe, calm curiosity, and reflective observation. Listeners and readers often report a sense of peace or quiet wonder when engaging with the narrative, making it especially suitable for contemplative or meditative experiences. In a world often dominated by loud, sensationalized events, the Pascagoula encounter offers a quiet counterpoint, a reminder that profound mystery does not always arrive with alarm, and that human consciousness can experience the extraordinary while remaining grounded and serene. Finally, the story continues to inspire ongoing interest and exploration. Tours, documentaries, online forums, and investigative projects have revisited the riverbanks and archives of Pascagoula, seeking to understand the event in ever greater detail.